It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to our Tuesday health discussion as we continue a very important conversation. Obesity is a growing health problem worldwide. In fact, approximately 13% of adults worldwide are now considered to be obese. World Obesity Day is commemorated every year on the 4th of March. And there are still so many, misconceptions, preconceptions around exactly what obesity is and how to go about treating it, most importantly. Well, this morning, good friend of the show, general practitioner Dr. Grant Fourie joins us to be chatting a little bit about obesity and give context to this very important day. And if you guys have any questions at home about obesity, please give us a call. 021 110 5552 is the number to dial. But a very good morning, Grant. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Loaded to be here again.
Yeah, always great to connect with you, especially around such vitally important conversations such as this. Maybe a good place to start would be with you telling us briefly what World Obesity Day is and why it's observed. What's the importance of it?
I think it's a commemoration day that again signifies that we've done something a little bit wrong. We've ignored a group of people because we've assumed something which we've now proved to be an error, where we've actually just decided this is their problem and they can get on with it by themselves. And we've recognized this is actually a global problem, an international problem, a pandemic, although a slower growing pandemic. It's everybody's problem. Something that occurs to me is there may be, say, 200 million people living with obesity. There may be as many as 2 billion people living overweight, but that means there's 169, 200 million people living with people with obesity. So it's a family problem, it's a societal problem, it's a work problem, and we can't forget that. And very importantly is that it's a pandemic in the sense that there's no vaccine. And there's no country in the world that has yet been able to show any reversal in their statistics relating to obesity. So this is a super important, growing problem.
And it's a complex one. We know that there is an emotional attachment to the way that we eat. There are societal, there are economic influences. You talk about it being a pandemic. The fact that 13% of adults across the globe are experiencing obesity, you compare that to the coronavirus pandemic and it puts it into perspective quite dominantly. So what is the prevalence of obesity here in our country?
So the numbers vary all over the place, and you can, you're probably looking at about 40% of our adults being overweight, significantly overweight, BMIs over 30, which is, in other words, medically significant, which means it's influencing their health in terms of being having an influence on their life expectancy and their life quality. I mean, 40%. So we want you speak about obese. It sounds like a small number, but the truth is we know that overweight, which is really just somebody, we're going to talk about BMI possibly a bit later, which is the overwhelming group is this overweight group, which we think is, it's just a bit of a paunch, or it's a little bit more than normal, maybe 10 kilograms. But we've shown statistically how much of an impact this has on your health overall. And it will be the biggest expense to our health budget as the world continues over the next as long as we get to be here, if the next COVID doesn't take us all out. So, we can work on a statistic of about 40%. And then you can look at 60% of your population if you want to include the overweight, obese, morbidly obese sort of group, which is a lot. I mean, we rank somewhere third in the world in terms of our national statistic.
Yeah, that's just a little terrifying. And we know that it's certainly been highlighted during the current climate of COVID-19. We're constantly looking through that lens because it's been such a shared global experience. You talk about those risks that are attached to a lower life expectancy. Expand on that. What are the health risks, the biggest ones, the scariest ones of being obese?
So I think most people think it's being attacked and killed by your genes, but, like as in your denims, but it's actually your real genes. So what we know starts to happen is that everything in the way that your body works starts to change as your body starts to attempt to manage the change in function, the change in metabolism, and the change in how your body actually stays alive, how it manages its food, how it manages the production of energy, how it manages its waste products, how it manages its healing or its inflammation. So the body essentially can't manage its energy as well, and it can't manage its healing as well. So anything that's related to storage or manufacturing or detoxification, waste management starts to become a problem. So we see people developing problems like pain, inflammatory problems, which extend to heart problems, blood pressure problems, skin conditions, immune system problems. Liver disease is huge, and this includes things like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is a huge cause of disease as we grow older. Diabetes is almost synonymous with obesity these days. In fact, we almost assume that you're diabetic by the time you start putting on weight. The two are so interlinked with each other. Cholesterol levels rise, which then increases your cardiac risk. I mean, there's just everything you have. Anything you may have had a little bit before, the chance of it increases as you gain weight. And then I think the bigger problem is that because of the discomfort that you experience, the change in your sleep patterns, all the things we would normally ask you to do to manage this weight gain become more difficult to do. So you become tireder, you become more lethargic, you become more sore, and now it's harder to exercise. It's easier to sit than to stand. It's easier to walk than to run. So you do less, feel like doing less, and then the mood things start to come. So depression is much more abundant amongst overweight people.
You paint a very dark picture, Doctor, and I'm really interested to hear more.
I don't want to do this. Okay, let's try and bring it back to happy.
Yeah, I know. No, but rightly so. And I think this, again, just to reinforce what you said, this is the importance of having World Obesity Day. We're going to get into the link between COVID-19, because I think that's a very obvious question, where that sits in the comorbidity sphere. And we're going to continue this vitally important discussion. Dr. Fourie, you are going to stick around right now. We are going to make the healthier choice right now in the studio and whip up some beautiful, healthy pancakes.